We're jumping back into Judges and learning more about Gideon. We started last week learning about Gideon, reversing the narrative of Gideon's life. We have been raised in our different church traditions to view Gideon as this weak person who by some stretch of imagination is called by God and then is empowered to serve. But as we begin to strip away the layers, we begin to see that it takes courage to work in one. Wow. We begin to see that it takes courage to recognize who God is and to stay true into what God has you. And it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, but instead it matters how tight you hold on to the promises of God. Amen? Where we begin now is the second part of Gideon's story. We begin in Judges chapter 6, verses 25 through 32. And in this part of Gideon's tale, we see that he's already accepted his calling and he's acknowledged his calling by setting up an altar for God. But God's not finished with him yet, nor is God already pleased enough with him to send him on the major mission, which is taking down a whole nation of people. God instead sends Gideon on a training mission, a mission that signals something imperative is going to happen. Verse 25 reads, that night the Lord said to him, take your father's bull and the second bull, 7 years old. Everybody say 7 years old. 7 years old. That's important. Hold on to that. And pull down the altar of Baal that your father has and cut down the Asherah that is beside it. And build an altar, this is verse 26, to the Lord your God. Everybody say the Lord your God. The Lord your God. On top of the stronghold here, with stones laid in due order. Then take the second bull and offer it as a burnt offering with the wood of the Asherah that you shall cut down. So Gideon took 10 men of his servants, and did as the Lord had told him. But because he was too afraid of his family and the men of the town to do it by day, he did it by night. Verse 28. When the man of the town rose early in the morning, behold, the altar of Baal was broken down, and Asherah beside it was cut down, and the second bull was offered on the altar that had been built. And they said to one another, who has done this thing? And after they had searched and inquired, they said, Gideon, the son of Joash, has done this thing. Verse 30. Then the men of the town said to Joash, bring out your son, bring out that boy, that he may die. For he has broken down the altar of Baal and cut down the Asherah beside it. But Joash, a father, Joash, a man of integrity, Joash, the father of Gideon, said to all who stood against him, will you contend for Baal, or will you save him? He said, will you fight for your God, or is the God going to save him? He said, whoever contends for him shall be put to death by the morning. He says, if you step up in place of that false God, you yourself will die in the morning. So who's going to stand up for a God that is no God? Who's going to stand up for a God that is a fake God? Who's going to stand up for a God that nobody outside of this tradition has told you to worship? Is it going to be you? He said, if he is a God, let him contend for himself, because his altar has been broken down. He said, this God has been disrespected, so if he cares enough about his altar, let him fight for it. Amen. Therefore, on that day, Gideon was called Jerubbaal. That is to say, that Baal. Gideon was called Jerubbaal. He said, because that means he's a man that dares a false God to contend with him. Because he broke down his altar. Amen? Amen. Today's sermon, if you haven't read it on the screen, it's called The End of an Era. The End of an Era. Let us pray. Prayer to God, we come to you today. Thank you for this occasion, Lord, to once again recognize and to celebrate and to worship and to learn about your Son, Jesus Christ, who died on a cross with no contentions, no insecurity about it, no doubts about it, but he gave up his life, Lord, so that the image of what a true Father is could be shown through his blood. And that anyone who comes in contact with the blood will be saved with no disclaimers. But through him they shall have everlasting life. We come to you today, Lord, in this moment, Lord, asking that you help us, Lord, to learn what you have for us in this text, so that we, as your children, Lord, may go out and represent you to the fullest, Lord. Represent you on the corners, represent you in the streets, and represent you to our friends, Lord. We ask that you decrease me as the minister, Lord. Allow your Spirit to move through me, Lord, and to your people, Lord, so that we can dissect this text, dive in, and then be filled afterwards, Lord. We ask all these things in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen. 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 The end of an era. Everybody say the end of an era. The end of an era. Say the end of an era. 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 What's an era? Time period. Okay, time period. Okay. Anybody else? What's an era? Age, period of time, generations. Okay, go ahead, D. Specific time. Let me give you the definition. I'm big on definitions. If you did, we've been working together for a long time. I'm sure you know this. Big on definition. It says a long, distinct period of history with particular features or characteristics. So you can have a period of time, but if you can't pick out one specific feature within that specific time, it might not be an era. See, in our history, we've had many eras of the past. See, we've had eras of influence, time periods where we see specific influence exerted over different periods of time. So we've seen the Egyptian era, where everybody flocked to Egypt to learn, to grow, to develop themselves as cultures. And we said that's the Egyptian era. But then we also have what? The Greek era, right? Or antiquity, where we see all of these Greek philosophers and thinkers, where their influence shaped a whole time period. But then after the Greeks, we see what? The Roman time period, where Roman scholars, and really, we're still really in the Roman era because we're still so influenced by Rome, it's ridiculous. Our whole concept of democracy, republic, all of that comes from Rome. But then on another side, we can count eras by dominance. Most frequent to our minds is dominance in sport. Does anybody watch basketball in here? Mm-hmm. Okay, some people do. Did you know it was an era in basketball where dominance was held by a man named Wilt Chamberlain? Wilt Chamberlain was so dominant that no matter what he did, his dominance defined everything in the league. His presence shaped the league. But then his era ended and the era of Magic Johnson picked up. And then Magic Johnson came in with this Showtime era where he was dishing passes, and then the league became a lot more fancier, fashioner. But then after Magic, there was another era of dominance that happened. Does anybody know whose era that was? Michael Jordan era, right? And then that was a transformation from people that just like to pass to now we got dominant scorers where everybody wants to dunk the ball with their tongue out and everybody wants to have shoes. But then after Michael Jordan's era of dominance, we had another era of dominance. What era was that? Kobe. Some people would say Kobe. Some people say Kobe's in between this era time. But I would really say LeBron James era. And that's the era that we're in now. Where even though we're in the LeBron James era, even when you can lose 6 championships, you still can define something. Even if you're not winning the championship, just going to the championship allows you to get the That's where we are now. That's where you are. Okay, now that's what we will say now. But eventually, no matter how much you like LeBron, no matter how much you love LeBron, there's gonna come a time where it's gonna be the end of that era and the beginning of a new era. Our text today, it takes place in an era. It takes place in an era that spans 7 years. The era that this takes place in is an era similar to our own. In the era of the text, it's an era where people are being killed daily. Is that not like the era we're living in now? Where you can't turn on the TV and hear people are being shot, people are being killed. See, the era of the text is also a time where women are being abused and misused for other men's privileges. Is that not what we're experiencing now? Sex trafficking, other things of that nature. Are we not experiencing that now? The era of the text is similar to what we've experienced now because there's famines around the time period. There's famines in our world. There's homes that don't have fathers in the household in this era. That's not a regular thing to have a father because the fathers might have been killed by the attacks. Well, now us, while nobody is slaying our fathers down specifically with swords, fathers are being slain down by their own selfish desires to desert their families. Fathers are being slain down by STDs and all the other kind of things and their own lust. Fathers are not in the household. And when you think, well, fathers are there out, but I say that that's an era of violence is what begins to take place in our text. And one would say, how is a father not in the home an act of violence? I say it's an act of violence on the children. If a father's not in the home, he's committing acts of violence against his children. Because now his children don't have an example to look at when they grow up.
That's right.
See, we see in this era, because of everything that is going on, husbands are leaving their wives and causing divorce. One would say, how is that an act of violence? Well, if you abandon the divorce, if you abandon the marriage, you're actually attacking the principle of God is set forth. The whole institution of what God would have for you. I said it's an era of violence that is in this text in our day. It's a time of unemployment where people don't have jobs, don't have security. And it's also a time of lack of leadership. See, there's leaders, but no one wants to lead. There's people who assume positions, but they're not strong enough for people to follow them. Does that remind you of our day? This era has been going on for 7 long years in the text. Cycles of it, every year, more and more. But then God, at the end of the 7, says, I'm done with it. It's the end of an era. It's the end of the abuse. It's an end to the violence. It's an end to it all. And after I stretch my hand forth in the history, it's all going to change. But God doesn't do the changing by himself. He calls mighty men of valor to step up and lead his people. He says, if it's truly going to be an end of an era, I can exert my authority, but eventually it will have to be men who take charge and get in action so that the era can truly end. Now, we understand that the man in the text, this thing is shutting me up. We understand that the man in the text is who? Is Gideon, right? This mighty man of valor who is working in the wine press while he's beating the flour, while he's beating the flour, trying to make the flour. He's in the wine press. And while we can get stuck up because it is Father's Day on Gideon being a mighty man of valor, I want to say to you women, don't forget that you are also called to be mighty and to step up and to help us make a dent in ending the era and ushering forth a new era of God's holiness and a new era of God's dominance in the household and in the society and in the workplace and everywhere abroad. When it says a mighty man of valor, let us not forget that when God created man, he created man both what? Male and female. When he said, when God created us, he created female as a separate entity of what a man is, of the spirit man. And then he also created man to be a separate entity of what man's spirit is. So when we look at this text, and it says that God calls mighty men of valor, I want you to take that a charge upon your head, no matter what your sex is. God has called you to be an influence in ending the era that we are now experiencing. It says that he calls Gideon a man who was considered weak by his own standards. Us today, we look at our own situation and say, well, how can God call me to end such big problems such as world hunger? How can God call me, such a little person, to end problems as big as societal harms, as drugs and other things of that nature? How can God call me? I'm just an insignificant person. These are the same questions and same doubts that Gideon in the text had. But God didn't want to hear his excuses. God just wanted to say, it doesn't matter what you think of yourself.
Right.
You've already been anointed and called.
Amen.
It don't matter what school you went to. It don't matter the things that you've done in the past. You've already been called, and the anointing is on your head. Right. Gideon, a man who was working in the wine press, who was beating in the wine press in a confined situation, God saw fit to use him. And if God can use a man beating flour in a wine press, I tell you that God can use you when you don't have a job.
Right.
I tell you that God can use you when you're in a marriage that you don't feel fulfilled in. God use you when you don't know how your bills are going to be paid tomorrow. Right. God could be calling you, and God has called you to put an end to the era that we're in and to usher forth the new era. God calls Gideon, and he says, Gideon, what I'm looking for at this time is a destroyer. See, that's what Gideon's name means. Gideon's name means destroyer. Someone who tears down and cuts down. He says, if we're truly going to end the era of violence that we're constantly in, I need mighty men of valor, but not just of valor. I need some destroyers. Some people who aren't just afraid to cut some things down, to leave some things be. Too many times we get so comfortable with the way things are, the way things have been done. This is how my society did it. This is how we've already done it. This is the traditions of my family. We get all of these things that are constantly built up. And God says, forget that. I need a destroyer at this time. I need someone who's not afraid to swing that axe. I need someone who's not afraid to lead a bull. I need some destroyers. But not only does he need a destroyer, he also needs a builder. See, Gideon, another definition of Gideon's name is just that one with the hands of a stump. Now, when we say a stump, that's pretty blunt object. But understand that a tree, as it grows, eventually it's a stump, and then it continues to grow, right? Understand that what he's saying is, I need people like this who can cut down something, but then aren't lazy and are going to build some things in their place. Right. See, because it can be very convenient to cut down things. It can be very easy to say, you know what, we're not going to do this any longer. But the problem is, if you cut down things without replacing something in its stead, then something eviler is going to come and replace what you just cut down. We see that in Matthew and Luke, right? When he talks about the man who spent all that time cleaning out his house of the unclean spirits. But because the man was so focused on cutting things down, and he never focused on building things up and replacing, the Spirit said, man, look, this house is empty. Let me get 7 of my boys and come back to it. He had a problem with one demon. He cut it down. Then the demon left. Then he came back with 7 more. Why? Because he did not have the courage to build in place of what he cut down. God says, I need some people that are going to help me in the era of violence, in the era of abuse, in the era of the systematic killings, the generational curses. I need somebody who can destroy, amen, but then has the courage to build. That's it. Now, automatically, when you're hearing these words, destroy and build, you automatically begin to associate negative and positive context. When you hear destroy, what context does that have? Negative or positive? Negative. Negative, right? But understand that destroy and build is very neutral. To destroy or to build is very neutral. What determines whether something is negative or positive, or how you destroy or how you build, is determined by the ends that you have in store for what you're destroying and building. See, we as Christians, people called to God's agenda, are called to destroy negativity in the world, but to build positivity in the world. See, if you're going through life and you say, you know what, I got this bad habit that I always do this thing, and it's always leading me into negative situations, you are responsible to destroy that. But here's the thing, if you don't build anything positive in its place, then what will happen? Because you can destroy, this is what happens when they're weaning people off cigarettes. They tell you, you know what, you need to cut down your cigarette use, but instead of cutting it down and then refilling it with something positive, they say, while you cut down your cigarette use, let us get you on some addictive medication. That now you went from, oh, I was smoking cigarettes, to now I'm addicted to opioids. Do you understand? So you can build negatively and you can destroy positively. You can cut some people out of your life in your effort to destroy some things, only to find out 5 years later that I really needed that person. Right. You destroyed a positive thing. But what God says is, when you are following my orders and you're following my commands, what I need you to do is pinpoint what is negative, cut that out, and replace it with what's positive. Now here's the thing, if you're going to do it according to what God would have you to do, then you have to understand, you need God to tell you what is positive and negative. See, if we're going to be builders and destroyers in the world of God, or in the forces of God, we need to allow God to dictate what is good for us and what is negative for us. See, destroying negativity is destroying the things that don't lead to God. There's things in your life inherently that don't lead to God. There's certain viewpoints that you have in your mind that don't lead to God. Cut it out. There's certain habits, people in your life that don't lead you to God. Cut them out of it. I mean, sometimes you can't cut them out entirely because of your family, Howard. Okay? Okay. But sometimes you gotta limit your exposure to them. Right. Why? Because when you cut them down, but here's the thing. Again, when you cut them down the negative things, don't forget to build up the positive. Okay, I'm gonna cut this person out of my life, but instead of just going through life, just sitting on my couch watching TV, being fed by the TV, I'm gonna adopt some new friends. I wanna adopt some church friends that can help me out. You know what? There's an activity in my life that I know doesn't lead to anything godly. I'm gonna cut that out. But instead of just sitting back on my laurels, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask the people in church, is there any ministries that need your time, need my time, need some people to help? Then I'm going to replace it and build something positive and instead, why? So that I can move closer to God. Amen. So we have to destroy self-dignity. See, a lot of us are not really self-dignity. Well, we have to destroy self-honor and build self-dignity. A lot of us have so much pride in our lives that we don't want to do anything that feels a little bit insecure, a little bit hurtful, or a little bit uncomfortable. What we want to do is we just want to continue to sit there in the comfort of our pride. But when you want to go towards God, you have to cut that down, no matter what it is, and begin to build self-dignity. Because self-dignity allows you to humble yourself in difficult situations and exalt God in the even more difficult situations. We have to be people who can cut down the negative and leave legacies of positivity. Yeah. There's a lot of us. The reason why it's a movie. I'll probably say this before, but it's a movie. And this might be an off example, but it's a movie called Troy. Has anybody seen that movie? Yes. There's a movie where it's called, in the beginning scenes of that movie, Achilles, he's sleeping on himself. He's sleeping in by himself or with some women actually. But you know, the little boy comes to him and says, there's this great big giant that needs to be killed. And he says, I would never want to kill that giant. And what Achilles says, that's why they're remember your name. A lot of you have been living life and you're not leaving any type of legacy behind. And the reason you're not leaving any type of legacy behind is because you're not killing the right giants. So you've been killing the easy giants that don't cause you to grow. That don't cause God to get more glory. It is only the glory of God that will remain forever, that the angels will continue to sing about. So if you continually only cutting down things that don't mean anything and not building anything that leads to God's glory, people will say, yeah, Keon was a great person. And that's all they're going to say. They'll say, yeah. Stephen went to church. That's all they'll say. Well, what are you building? You should be building legacies of positivity. People remember the positive things you do. And listen, a lot of people love to hold on to the negative, but the people that matter remember the positive things. My dad was not a perfect man by any stretch of the imagination. But when people went to his funeral, they hear anybody mention the negative things of his life. They only mention the positive things. Right. What are people going to say about your legacy? Gideon had a real checkered past here at the beginning of this story, right? What do we remember about Gideon? Most people remember this one man rallying 300 troops, having the faith of God to attack a whole nation. Jesus, a little man from Nazareth, an insignificant carpenter. When we talk about him now, nobody remembers that part. Everybody skips over that part. What do we say? The man who brought us salvation. Right. Do you understand what I'm saying? Mary, what was she before she had Jesus? I don't know. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You understand what I'm saying? Nobody, a lot of people will harbor on the negativity, but when it's all said and done and your legacy is written in the stars, nobody's going to bring that up. What they'll remember you for is the positive things that you build, your legacy. And that's what God is saying. If I'm going to end an era, I need people to look back at the people that helped me end it and see all the positive works that they did, all the positive things that they did. Now, Gideon, when he's called to help God in this era of violence, he was told by God to do two things specifically. He says, I want you, Gideon, and it's in the text here, it says, I want you to tear down the altar of Baal. And he says, I also want you to build up, or cut down, excuse me, I also want you to cut down the Asherah, which is this big pole, Now what's significant to us is that in our trail to help God in the era of violence, in the eras of addiction, in these tumultuous eras, and start a new fresh era of holiness, understand that there are four major battlegrounds. Four major sites of construction that need your active participation of cutting down and also building up. Four construction sites, if you will. The first construction site that Gideon also had to work in, cutting things down and building things up, is your theology. Now, a lot of us don't even like talking about theology because it sounds like a word only a preacher should know. A lot of us like theology. What is theology? Theology is simple. Theology is, what do you think about God?
Right.
A lot of people are like, what do I think about God? I go to church every day. What do I think about God? That's everything because I come to church every day. Wrong. What you think about God determines everything in your life.
That's it.
See, if you believe that God is an angry God, and he's very angry all the time, then what you do in your personal life is you exude what you believe God does, so then you're very angry every day of your life. And it begins to shape the personalities. Now listen, there's a lot of people that say that they worship Yahweh, our God, right? There's a lot of people that say that, but how come there's crusades where many people were killed and murdered? The reason why is because their view of God was that God was a murderer. Is that how you view God? See, there's things that are built up in your theology that inherently need to be cut down. And they need to be replaced with other things. See, some of us think, oh, God is a loving God. God is love. And God accepts me no matter what I do. God doesn't care if I kick somebody here and cut somebody out here. God does not care how immoral I am because how immoral I am. Because God is a forgiving God. God looks over everything. That same person who views God like that theologically feels comfortable doing anything. They feel comfortable sleeping with multiple partners. Why? Because they wake up next day and say, God forgive me. That's the view of God. What I'm saying is you have to be engaged in the battlefield of theology to say, what is it that I personally think about God? Does my God respect women? For a long time in the church's history, we have said that God does not respect women. That's the reason why women's voices are often silenced in church. Because our God is, what do we say? Our Father who art in heaven. So because our view is only of God as this supreme Father without understanding what Abba truly means, we begin to see women as something lesser. But for a minute, it says that God was white. So when God is white, if we view God as white, what does that make you and I? Devils. You have to reframe what you think about God. That's the first theological battle. Gideon did battle in this in verse 12 through 13, we see, where God begins to approach him. And he says, and Gideon said to him, this is after the angel of the Lord says, Almighty man of valor. And he says, God is with you. And then Gideon says to him, and he says in verse 13, please, my Lord, he said, please, if the Lord is with us, then why has he let all of this happen to us? And where are all of his wonderful deeds that our fathers recounted to us, saying, did not the Lord bring us out of Egypt? What Gideon does is he's confronted with the theology about God. God is with you at all times. Then Gideon fires back at him and says, no, that's not what I think about God. God is a God who has abandoned us. What the angel of the Lord challenges him to do is he says, reshape your theology, cut some things down, and then replace it. We know that Gideon begins to gain a right focus theologically of what God is because he no longer believes that God is not with him once the angel turns all the food into fire that he worships. He now believes God is with me. So that changes his whole perspective, which then pushes him forward on his mission. So theology is the first construction site that we have to build down, tear down, and build up. The second construction site that we have, after you confront your theology, you have to confront your anthropology. Anthropology, anybody know what that means? Anthropology is the study of man. you have to assess who you are. A lot of us have a great understanding of who God is. God's this creator, he's a redeemer, but I'm just this lowly person that's not worthy of anything. Bro, that ain't what God said about you.
That's right.
That's not what God said about you. Anything, then what ends up happening is you begin to not accomplish anything that this great God has already told you to accomplish. Because you continue to say, I'm just a lesser person. We see Gideon do this exact same thing. When God says, when the angel of the Lord said, God is with the almighty man of valor. And then Gideon says, well, who am I? I'm just the lowest person in the lowest tribe. He begins to doubt his anthropology. But the angel of the Lord says, no, Gideon, no mighty man of warrior, confront that, tear something down, and build something up in its place. He says, tear down the fact that you're worthless and understand that you've seen God face to face.
That's it.
That's what he says at the end of that text. At the end of that text, he says, you are a man who, where other men once seeing God or an angel of the Lord dies immediately. But I have not killed you because your work is so much more than you think. I have plans for you. See, a lot of us think, oh, I'm encountering this difficult situation. I'm nothing. Oh, I'm worthless. I'm unemployed. I don't have a job. I don't have a man. I don't have this. I'm worthless. But God says your life is not ended because you are special. You need to rework your anthropology about yourself.
Amen.
Gideon does this. Gideon does this. And then the third battle, which we focus on today, the third construction ground, which needs to be, things need to be cut down and then built up, is sociology. Sociology, simply, we said theological, anthropological, and then sociological. Sociological is the way that we deal with each other.
Right.
Once you addressed and built up the right concepts of who God is, and then you've addressed and torn down your negative self-view of yourself and built up an empowered spiritual God children view of yourself, then you can begin to engage in sociology, which is how do I treat you? How do I treat you? God calls Gideon. He says, now that you've worked out your theological view in the winepress and the altar, now that you've worked out your anthropological view of yourself in the winepress, now I need you to go into your Father's house. And work out how you do everybody else. I bring that up because we here now are in the Father's house.
That's it.
We're in the Father's house. And the way that we treat each other in the Father's house dictates how people are treated outside the Father's house. He tells Gideon, he says, Gideon, there are some wrong things happening in the Father's house. He says, I need you to get men together and I need you to pour down some sociological things that need to end in your Father's house so that when people see that they are torn down in the Father's house, people outside the Father's house will be empowered to change their life. He says there's some things in the Father's house that need to be cut down. That's what they are. He says this altar of our all. And what we see that this altar of our all is our submission to ignorance. Baal was a god, a Canaanite god. A god that the Israelites knew was not their God. But yet they submitted to their ignorance. Too many times in the Father's house, we have submitted to ignorance. We've submitted to their traditions. We've submitted to their thoughts about each other. We've submitted to their concepts about who deserves dignity and who doesn't deserve dignity. For so long in the Father's house, it was taught that if you're a homosexual, you deserve to die. We need to cut that down because that's not what God said. For a long time in the Father's house, we've told that women only need to shut up and be quiet. We need to cut it down. Because that's not what the Father says. There's a lot of things in the Father's house that we need to begin to cut down. And what we have done, because we have neglected study, because we've leaned on tradition other than the Bible, we begin to submit ourselves to ignorance. And we begin to worship ignorance. People say, oh, church is supposed to be an hour flat. We're supposed to have coffee in the church, and then we're supposed to sing, be married, get out. Cut it down. That ain't what church is really about. A lot of people say, oh, you know what? You're doing things right when everybody's yelling and jumping around and everybody's catching the Holy Ghost. If that's your only concept of what church is, you need to cut it down. Because then what what you begin to see once you leave the walls of church and you begin to experience people that are going through real issues and real problems but have accepted Christ, you begin to doubt their savedness. He said they're not saved because they don't speak in tongues. They're not saved because they don't worship just like we do. And what I'm saying is that when the church is out of order, the country is out of order.
Amen.
Do you know that there are countries all over the world that are looking at America for spiritual guidance, but because the church in America is so divided, no wonder our families are divided, because the church in America is so lacking confidence. No wonder why the men in our country are lacking confidence. It's no wonder that in the churches of America, women are put down in shame. No wonder why women are being sold and trafficked all over the world.
Amen. Yes.
There's some things that need to be taken down in the Father's house.
Amen.
So that when we step outside the Father's house, we can begin to correct some things in our society.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that, you think, I'm not saying you, but people, it's okay. You ain't supposed to say nothing in church. A lot of people say that. You're just supposed to sit like this. That's wrong. Because the problem is, when you do that in God's house, then you get out there and you be sitting next to people that need a word from God, and all you can say is, we say, tear it down, and you need to build something up in this place. He says there's some things that need to be taken out. He says, you've been submitting to ignorance. But then he says, not only do you tear down the altar of Baal, he also told them to cut down what? The Asherah, right? The Asherah is this fertility symbol that's associated with Baal. Basically, Baal would be like a male, and Asherah would be this female principle, and together they would be a sign of fertility or growth. What that means for us is the advancement of deception, the multiplication of deception. What is Satan's number one word against the Christian? Deception. He wants us to believe that our God is not strong enough and powerful enough to do what he wants us to do. Satan wants to constantly deceive us. But the problem is, when we don't cut down the Baals, when we stop submitting to ignorance, if we never stop submitting to ignorance, then we are susceptible for the advancement of deception. Because what we begin to do is, we begin to learn all of these things in church. And you wonder why I harbor so much on church. Is because I believe that the ecclesia is the driving force of the world. It's God's ultimate timetable, but it's within the church, the fulfillment of the church, to drive history forward. Amen. And when the church stops moving forward, because we submitted to ignorance, then deception runs amok in society. Why is that? Because if you're not in church learning the word, then you don't know how to teach your children. If you don't know how to teach your children, then they don't know how to teach their children. And if no children are getting taught, guess what doesn't exist? The error doesn't exist. The era continues. So what God is saying is, we need to get the people in the house to tear down the altars, tear down this, so that the deception stops. So people can stop saying that this is what God is. That people can stop saying this is what being in marriage is. People think marriage is just a ring. If you got a ring and you've been in a marriage, then you know that's that's farther than the truth than anything. It's way more than a ring. But when you look on Sex and the City, and all the women are chasing the ring, you think, oh, that's what it's supposed to be. That's that advancement of deception that goes on. And why does it go on? For our comfort. And then also this Asherah symbol represents the idol tradition for convenience. Too many traditions that continue to plague us. Now I want you to understand this, and I'm getting ready to close. That what God is saying, because you see, Gideon's whole purpose is to destroy the Midianites, to rescue the people from the Midianites, to rescue the physical people from the Midianites, to end the era completely. But what God says is, I can't physically save you until I rescue you spiritually. Right. God tears down the spiritual altars that have been holding the people back. In order so that when the time comes for them to be strong enough to fight, they won't be held back by false beliefs. Amen. God says, I gotta save you spiritually first. And that's why it starts in church. But not only because he says, I gotta save you spiritually first, he says, I gotta save you mentally first.
Amen.
Now spiritually, Christ has already saved you. Spiritually, Christ died on the cross, gave his blood for our salvation. Period. Nothing can outdo that. Nothing can replace that. As we said yesterday, Christ is the key, right? That has freed us. Spiritually, we're already free. But mentally, some of us are still in the cave. And what God says is that the people that I send to you, the mighty men of valor, the mighty women of valor, are the hands that open up the sail and then lead you out of it. What he tells Gideon to do, he says, I want you to get 2 bulls. He says, I want you to get 2 bulls, and I want you to attach it to these altars and to this Asherah, which was this pole. He says, I want you to lead the bull into tearing down the symbols of ignorance, to tearing down the advancement of deception. And he says, not only will you lead the 2 bulls to tearing it down, you'll also have men with you that will, because of your action, be inspired to follow your lead. So what started out as one person, because he stepped up to the plate to do what God called him to do, then it multiplied to now it's 11 people. Yeah. You see, it started off with just Gideon, but by the end of it, when he's getting ready to tear it down, he says Gideon and his 10 servants now do this. Now it started with one person saying, I believe, God, that you're trying to end an era, and not only do I believe it, I'm going to talk to more people to get them behind me. And when we do that, so they tie up the bulls and they pull it down, and then the text stops for a while. And then it picks up in the morning. And in the morning time, everybody in the village notices that something is different. Right. You missed that. Because one person believed God's word and called to end the era and decided to act in the strength of God, then 10 people got infected. And because 10 people got infected and decided to leave to follow this one man, when they tore down the idols, when they tore down the deception, when they tore down the things that was holding them back, when they tore it all down, then the whole city came out and recognized that something has changed. God saying, where is the person in this church that is ready to tear something down? And what the people, they were so upset, but they didn't understand. One of the bulls was 7 years old. What that represented was the 7 years that they had been in slavery. Well, the one that was 7 years old got sacrificed on the altar. And what that represented, literally, he would say, I'm done with those 7 years, and I'm ushering forth something different. And what I love about him is, not only did he tear it down, but him and those 10 men, they built something up in his place. They built an altar for God. Our altar for God is our life. Amen. Our altar for God is the legacy that we leave. What are you leaving for your family? Man. It's Father's Day. We just celebrated Mother's Day. What are you leaving? Are you leaving a legacy that God would be proud of? Amen. That God will be able to look on you and say, well done. That's it. Amen. Or is the legacy you're leaving one that will be burned up? First Corinthians talks about this. He says, whether you do it with stones, with gold, with hay, with straw, he says the only thing that matters is the quality of your work will be judged by fire. And he says, when things burn, he says you won't die as though your salvation is at peace. But what he says is you'll be left without a reward because you didn't build the right way. And to close, I just want to say this, that it's not easy to do this. I say it all as though this can happen in a day. It really isn't that easy. Because Gideon faced fear in the moment. Yeah. It says that he wanted to do it, but he was scared of everybody, so he did it at night. Right. But most people who don't give Gideon as a source of strength neglect the reality of that text. See, Gideon was scared, and he did do it at night. But guess what he got the call to do with it? At night. He didn't say, now listen, Gideon was going to postpone what God had told him to do. If his fear wasn't there, he was going to say, I'm going to let the night pass and I'm going to do it in the morning. But his fear, he allowed his fear to motivate him to to do what was necessary for God. And that same fear allowed him to tear down the very thing that night. What that tells us is we can't wait for tomorrow to start tearing something down. You can't wait. Now listen, a lot of us believe eras is based on time. I understand that it's chronos and it's kairos. Chronos is on the linear scale. So it's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. That's chronos. That's the time. But kairos is just the timing when the timing is right. Your timing to start ending the era is right now. Your timing to end the suffering is right now. Your timing to change your life is right now, just as it was Gideon. And I talked about his spirit, but not only did his spirit get him, the people that came out, they wanted to kill him. It was like, man, this guy tore down this altar. We should kill him now. But I love what happens after that. Is that Gideon, because he followed God's order, he didn't have to step up no more. Well, guess who came to his defense? His father. That's the promise that we have in God. Amen. Is that when you do what he wants you to do, no matter who comes against you to attack you, God comes out of the house and says, hold up, this is my child. Sylvester and Ben tell me this story a lot about their father and how they went to this park. Fairyland Park, is that right? Fairyland Park. And then they were getting on this bumper car ride. And as they were getting on this bumper car ride, this is back in the time of, I guess, segregation or ending segregation, this white attendant who was running the bumper car rides. Yes, go ahead.
First of all, it was Negro Day.
Oh, it was Negro Day. It was Negro Day. So it wasn't segregation, okay? One day a week, one day a month.
A year.
One day a year, people come to this park. One day a year, people come to this park. So you would think it's one day a year, white, black, whoever you are working, it's not that big of a deal. It's just one day. But there's one attendant, they said when they began to get on the bumper cars, the attendants began to yell at them and demean them. But they said they wasn't there alone. Their father was right there with them. And when the attendant began to yell at them and condemn them, they said that their father stood up and said, who do you think you talking to? These are my children. Right. That's what God does for us all the time. God said, who do you think you are, Satan? I put a hedge of protection around my head. Who do you think you are, employee? I put a hedge of protection. Who do you think you are, unemployment? I put a hedge of protection. Who do you think you are? I protect my children because I am their rock and their shield. I protect them at all times. And I don't have to see them. I don't have to be with them to protect them. All I know is that when the blood covers you, you're covered. And God steps up and he says, you are mine. So he says, no matter what I'm asking you to do, no matter what things I'm telling you to tear down, for some of you, I'm asking you, God is saying, to tear down that relationship that's killing you. For some of you, I'm telling you, the thing that I want you to tear down is that job that you have. For some of you, I'm telling you to tear down that promise that you made and that you don't want to do, but you so hard on keeping it that you're going to do it no matter how much penalty it costs you. Tear it down. And he says, when you tear it down, I'll help you build something better. I'll help you build something better. And not only will I help you build something better, I'll help you to protect the progress you make.
That's it.
This is the promise we have in God.
Yes, amen.
This is the promise. To be co-workers with him and starting something totally different. Starting something that is the beginning of a new era. A new era for your life. The old era is gone. The era where you felt insignificant. The era where you felt helpless. It's gone.
Man.
A new era is in your life.
Yes.
The area where you felt hurt, the area where you felt, I'm not smart enough. It's gone. And God said, if you want to stay calm, just take it. Yeah. We're going to bless for our church, we're getting ready to leave an era. An era of being in this building.
Right.
There wasn't negative, nothing about it was negative.
Right.
But it is an era that has to.
Right.
But God says, don't be scared.
Amen. Amen.
Some things are going to have to be broken down. Or allegiance to Ben's house. Or comfortability to Ben's house. And Pat's house is going to have to be taken down.
Right.
Your ability to blend into the couch It's going to be, I'm not saying you, but it's going to be taken away because it will be all in chaos. Your ability to not lift your voice and sing because it's a small room.
Yeah.
You're going to have to cut it down.
Well,
And God says, don't fear because I'm going to help you build up your voice. I'm going to help you build up your comfortability. I'm going to help you build up all of that. But he says, you got to help me cut it down. And understand that when the doubt starts to set in, I'll be the first one there to hold that shield above you. Don't touch my child. I ask that as we move into our next portion, which is the invitation, that if you've been feeling like there's something in your life that needs to be cut down, I challenge you not to do it alone. Because Gideon didn't do his alone. He added people. This moment, because maybe a lot of you, all of you have accepted Christ. So I extend that invitation if you haven't, to accept Christ as your Lord and Savior, to be totally transformed by the renewing of your mind and the empowerment of His blood as the propitiation for our sins. I extend that invitation. But even more, I extend an invitation for you, to stand and announce what it is that you need help cutting down. That right there is scary, I know. Because a lot of us want to cut it down in the privacy of our own homes. But the problem is, Gideon couldn't do it by himself. He was commanded by God to do it, but he needed other people.
Right.
What is a church for if we're not here to support each other?
Yes.
What is it in your life that you need to cut down? I challenge you to remain standing after we sing and announce that. Not so that people can look at you and say, oh, they got to do this, they got to do this. But for people, our church, to rally around you and to say, look, how we going to get it done?
Amen.
Because it's the end of that era.
That's
It's the end of
it.
something different. What I want for our church is that we begin to grow together more than we grow in numbers.
Right.
What do I mean by that? Too many times we've been focused on who's coming and who's not coming. What I want us to be focused on is whoever's here, let us be together.
Right.
What does that look like? That looks like, okay, there's 5 people here because everybody's out of town. That means don't sit in your spot that you always sat in. Sit somewhere different. Come together.
Yeah.
This is how we're going to get it done.
That's
to
it.
end the error. Because remember, it starts in the Father's house. And when we can come together, our society will come together. We'll begin to come together with other churches. So I want to belabor but today, in the invitation, wherever you need help cutting down in your life, stand and let us know.
Amen.
So that we can help you cut it down together. And then a year from now, a couple of months from now, you'll be standing again and you'll be giving a praise report. Because you didn't do it by yourself. You didn't delay till morning, but you did it. And God protected you all the way.
That's it.
Amen.
Amen.
Let us all stand as we sing our song of I'm just not all that good at communication. In my house, the man in my house, my father, was not a good to me communicator. He was somebody that really cared a lot of things close to the best. So I grew up seeing his example and thinking, okay, this is kind of what I adopted, whether I knew it or not. I really need help communicate in my family, in the church, just in general. I really need help communicate because I see that God is trying to engineer my life to where He opens up a lot more doors for me. But the problem is, if I don't got great communication skills going into those doors, I'll quickly realize that all of them will be shut. And then they'll say, well, you just wasn't communicating. I need help with that in my life. It's not something that I can do about myself. Because the truth is, I've been trying to do it by myself. I really haven't. I'm dedicated to doing it. I need help. I need my family to help me. Help me tear down this Asherah in my life. Help me tear down this ball. That means holding me accountable. That means checking up on me. That means just doing whatever you need to do. Because when we look back on the year from this date, the 17th of June, 2019, we want to say, Seal, bro, I don't know what happened. But you communicating really well. Help me with that. That's what a family's for. And you know what? I don't feel any insecurity in sharing that. Because you be lying to yourself if you said you're perfect. You be lying to yourself if you say, oh, you know what? I don't want to go to this church because the minister's got an issue. You got an issue. But praise God, He brought you out for you.
Right. Amen.
Does anybody else have something they need to cut down? Go ahead, Phyllis. And then I'll get to you, boy.
Well, I think I need to work on getting my mind in the right place. I make too much idle time on my hands, and I could be using that time to help somebody do something spiritually. Get out of the rut. I'm mentally, and I need help with that. You know, I don't have no physical things going on, but that mind thing is something else. I ain't playing, y'all. So, pray for me for my thinking, get my thinking straight.
Amen. Amen. Right now, we got ministries that need help. We got somebody who said they need help finding some time to do some things spiritual. That's somebody to reach out to.